What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm bringing you a video on how to detail your car. I'm going to walk you through all the steps of what I use, all the products I use to get the best results and save you the most amount of money. I'm going to start off by just listing all the products, and everything I use will be in the description of this video, so if you want to go check it out, feel free. But other than that, I'm going to get right into what I use. Alright, so first things first, when I'm doing a full detail on my car, I'll start off by just taking off anything that's kind of blocking big portions of the car, like these rear louvers I have on the car. I'll take those off. I'll take off the hood scoop, the headlights out, just so I can make sure that any dirt that's underneath of that get washed away. So that's going to move us on to the first thing that I do when I'm detailing a car, and that is washing it. I use a foam cannon and I use soap. Now in this case I'm using this soap because it's more of a stripper, I guess you could say, because some soaps will say on the back of it that they don't remove wax and stuff like that, but in this case I want to get everything I possibly can off the paint of the car because we're going to be doing everything we can to it, so I need everything out of the way. So I got this from Foamy Solutions, link in the bio if you want to go check it out, but this is the first step of full detailing your car. Next, after you do a full wash of your car, soap, water, power washer, and everything, I will be moving on to clay barring the car. In this case, I'm going to be using a clay mitt because I prefer the clay mitts because they're easier to use. Clay bar is annoying. You got to keep pulling it and you drop it on the floor, and it's just, I've done it multiple times and it's just annoying. So I prefer the clay mitt because it's so much easier. It's clay on one side, microfiber on the other. Slip your hand right in it, and that's it. Clay bar the whole car. All the things. I'm going to go into more detail of how to use it when I start using it, but that's the next step. Step number 2, clay bar. Okay, so now that you clay bar the entire car, you're going to want to dry it down, make sure there's no water on the car at all, and then you're going to move on to step number 3. Step number 3 is going to consist of compounding and polishing your car. This is going to get rid of all the micro scratches in the car, all the swirl marks, all the water marks, all the fading of the paint, and it's going to make it look brand new if you do it right, but I'll show you exactly how to do it. So you just basically have to pick up, there's many different brands, but this is what I'll do. I'll link it in the description if you want it. Just some basic compound, some basic polish, and you want to get yourself a buffer. Now, I got this one from Harbor Freight. It's one of the cheaper ones you can find. And what you want to look for when you're buying one of these is that it has dual speeds and it has multi-action, and it'll orbit, because you don't want it just to spin. You want the buffer to also spin, but while it's spinning it moves out of plane, if that makes sense. So I got this for like $70 at Harbor Freight, not too bad, but seems like pretty good quality. I already started on the back because I was testing it out, so that's why the pads are already dirty. But you just want to get yourself 2 pads, same thing as the compound and polish, one for compound, one for polish, and that's all you need. So that's step number 3. Let's move on to step number 4. Okay, this is the final step, and this is step number 4. So after you've just compounded and polished your entire car, you want to protect the paint. Now, many people like to use waxes and other stuff like that. Me personally, I hate wax. I never want to deal with it. I've done it multiple times. It's always messy and you get it everywhere else. So I personally like ceramic coating. That's my favorite. So I use this stuff called The Last Coat. This is their black ice. I'll have it linked in the description. I'll show you guys how to use it. But this is basically a ceramic coating for the entire car. That comes with this microfiber pad. You just spritz it on there, wipe down the entire car, and the car will have such a higher gloss to it, and it will completely be coated. So if it rains on the car, it will just bead off, and then when you go to wash the car, you don't even have to touch it. You can just hit it with a power washer. You pull out a leaf blower and just blow the water off the car, and you never have to do it. And that's where, if you've ever heard of a touchless wash, and that way you never have to scratch the paint again because you never have to touch it when you're washing it. I highly recommend it. Way better than wax. It doesn't leave any streak marks or anything like that, and if you get wax on sometimes black trim, it'll come up white and it just looks like crap. So highly recommend this. I'll show you guys how to use it. So other than that, I'm basically going to start the time lapse of me fully detailing the car. So let's get right into it. so after rinsing the car, I put soap back on it because now I'm going to use the clay mitt. Very easy to use. You can read the instructions when you get yours. Very easy. Basically, just like you would do with your wash mitt, make sure you have a bucket full of soapy water. Bring it over to the car. Wet this nice. Get this nice and wet, covered in soap. You may have to make sure there's lubricant. You use this side to spread the soap around, make sure there's soap, and then you flip it back around and use it as a clay mitt. My paint feels like sandpaper, so I'm going to use this to its full potential. You keep going until the paint feels smooth and nice, and you can just see all the stuff that is taking out of the paint. And make sure you're constantly washing this off so you're not just digging whatever it's taking out back into the paint. It's pretty simple, just keep going until the paint feels very smooth, and then that's it. I'm gonna do the whole car, time lapse it, so let's see. Alright, so now that you finished step 2, we're going to move on to step 3. That's going to be compound and polishing the entire car. This is going to make the car look brand new, get rid of all those swirls. So I separated 2 halves of the front fender with a piece of tape. I'm going to work on this half, and I'm going to do a before and after of what this can do. I'm going to walk you through exactly what you need to do step by step. So let's see. Alright, so first things first, you want to make sure your panel is completely clean. And that is what the whole clay barring does, and washing the car before. It'll get everything off the surface so it's ready to be hit with the polisher. So you just want to hit it down with one more microfiber, make sure it's all nice. And then you're going to pull out your polisher, and I'm using 2 different pads. I'm using one pad for the compound and then a blue pad for the polishing. So it'll be linked in the description if you want to do exactly what I'm doing. So you're going to pull out your compound, just like this. Shake it up real well. You're gonna put a decent amount on for your first layer. I like to do dots, that's what the professionals do. Do 4 or 5 little dots around the pad. And then you're gonna dab it onto the surface. This makes sure is that when you start the polisher, it doesn't fling it everywhere. And make sure the whole panel is covered. Okay, so when you're compounding, if you have a variable speed polisher, you want to have it higher when you're doing the compound and then lower when you're doing the polishing. So we're going to turn it up to about 3, and then we're going to get after it. Alright, so we have it up to setting 3. What you want to do, you don't want to keep the polisher still. If you keep the polisher still, that's how you burn through the paint and ruin everything. So as you're going, you want to move to the side, 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 and then you want to go up, making almost like a hashtag, just like that. So I'll show you exactly how to do that. Okay, so now that your first run through with the compound is done, you're just gonna wipe it off, see where you're at. I suggest getting a light as well. I'm doing this in my garage, and you definitely wanna do it inside. You don't wanna do this in direct sunlight. the polish in the compound will dry up and it'll ruin the paint. So you want to make sure the car is nice and cool, nice and clean, and you're out of the sunlight because you do not want this stuff to dry fast. So, like I said, I would suggest getting a light like this one. It's easy, just click, and you kind of just want to look at the paint, see where you are, see if there's more scratches that you have to get down, and holy crap, there is already such a difference in the paint. You can see I still need more work down here, but the difference already is crazy. So after looking at it, I know I need to go after it a little bit more with some compound. So I'm going to put some more compound work more down here. And then after I get all the heavy scratches out, the polishing will get all the little fine ones out. So I'm going to do a little bit more with the compound, and then we'll get into the polishing. Alright, so we just finished our third and last pass over of compound. So we're going to move on to the polishing, which is just this black stuff. Also, link in the description if you want to check it out and use the exact same stuff as I do. So I'm going to go ahead and transfer over to my blue pad for polishing, because this one was for compound. It's easy, just Velcros on. Pull it right off, put it over there, make sure you get nothing on the end of it. Place the other pad on. Get your polish, make sure it shakes up. Same thing as the compound. Oop, a little much there, but dab it on. So now that we got all the big scratches out of the paint, this will help us get all those little ones out. Because the compound, you know, it's the same thing as sandpaper. Compound has a higher grit to it than the polish will. So, and there's also, you can take it down even more than this. You know, there's other things than compound and polish, but in my eyes, for a car like this that isn't, you know, a Ferrari or, you know, something crazy, all you really need to do is compound polish, a wax or some kind of sealant to protect the paint after you basically strip it down. So now that I'm getting this all over the panel, we're gonna go down to a lower speed, around 2. Alright, so now that I finished polishing and I got everything off, we go ahead and pull this tape off. So you guys can see the difference. Alright, so now I'm going to show you guys the difference, what I just did to it and what it looked like before. Alright, so as you can see, this half is what it looked like before, and then this is what it looks like now. So as you can see, look at how bad that is, all the watermarks. And I just cleaned this, like I just wiped it down, I clay barred everything. Look at all the little micro scratches. And then you get over, boom. There are still some swirl marks, but for 15 minutes, look at the difference. Come on. Look at that. Now this paint is not perfect. This is an 04. This paint is not perfect. But just look at how good it looks now. Look at that difference. So now that you can see the difference, basically all you have to do is do that entire car. That's the only sucky part. It takes a lot of time, but if you want the best results, take your time with it. Know what you're doing. I tried to give you all the tips I can. That's it. That's the number one thing, is being able to put a lot of time into it. You know, so that right there took me about 15 minutes to do that little thing. So 15 minutes all around the car. That's why this is a daily driver, so I tried to pick a day over the weekend when I wouldn't be driving the car. So now that I got that done, I'm gonna move on to the rest of the hood area, move up to the front. So let's get right into it. All right, now that you just spent about 6 hours polishing and compounding the car like I did, probably more than that honestly, you wanna grab your ceramic coating. In this case, I'm using black ice. Link in the description. This stuff is amazing, works great, way better than wax, and way cheaper than those really expensive ceramic coatings. So I'm going to show you guys how to use this. You want to make sure that the surface doesn't have any dust on it, because if it's sitting in your garage like me, it might have some dust on it. You're going to get the foam pad that comes with it. You're just going to spray it. Make sure it's covered. And all you do is run it across the surface, just like that. You want to go straight down. After you get the whole panel, you want to go across. Basically hashtagging, just like you did with the polish. Boom, boom. Make sure you're covering every inch. Now I'm going to probably go over the entire car, probably 2 or 3 times, probably 3 times on the hood. And look at that, you can literally see the towel's just sliding right across it. So you wipe it off after it dries clear, gives it that extra shine. Boom, that's simple. That's it, way better than wax. Look at that gloss. This is 16-year-old paint, and this stuff is making it look like it's brand new, along with the 8 to 6 hours of polishing. But this stuff works great, and I would do a demonstration of the water beating off of it, but I really don't feel like cleaning that up. So I'm gonna do the entire car, which I'll time lapse, and then I'll show you guys the final result. And maybe do an edit. Also, I forgot to add, I will also be using this 7 days from now to put on top of the ceramic coating. This is another ceramic coating, also from the last coat. Now, the one called the black ice I'm using now is more for like a wax application right after you're done buffing the car. This is something that you can throw on just after washing the car. So after that sits for about 7 days, I'll throw this on for extra protection, and nothing's gonna stick to the paint at all. I mean, just look at this. Ready? Nothing is sticking to the paint. Nothing. Water, dirt, bugs. That's just 2 coats. That's just 2 coats of this stuff. I put some over here too. Boom. Nothing. Nothing's sticking to it. And you can put it on the matte stripes just like me. You ain't gotta worry about anything. Whoop. Nothing. If that towel's not sticking on, not worried about anything. So make sure you guys go check this out. I highly recommend it. Alright, that's going to do it for today's video. I hope I was able to help teach some of you guys something that I know a little bit about. I really enjoy detailing the car. It's a complete night and day difference. I mean, I can take you outside right now and show you what the final product of the car looks like. I just took it to a show a couple days ago. I mean, the paint on this looks 10 years newer, I'd say. So thanks again for everybody that watched. Leave a comment of what you think. And that's basically it. I'll see you guys in next week's video, and it's something special. So